Hey guys, what is up? I know this is not so normal for us to do during the middle of the week. No, normally we would be out on an adventure and you would go with us. But as you know, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And this year, on this day, 12 years ago, I lost my mother to breast cancer. So let me allow us to give you a little bit of the backstory that led up to it. Let's see, 12 plus 9, 20. Has it been that long?
Yeah, Daniel was just 2 weeks old when she was diagnosed with breast cancer.
2 weeks old. Okay, so it's been...
He was just a baby.
9, 10, 11, almost 21 years.
Well, he was born 20 years ago. She was diagnosed in August, and he was born in July.
Okay.
But he was just a few weeks old when she told us that they thought it was cancer.
Right. So, regardless of whatever the math is, roughly 20 years ago, we found out that my mother had breast cancer. And it wasn't because of her going to the doctor and them doing an exam on her. It wasn't a doctor doing a mammogram. She found it herself. You know, the whole check and... guys, you got to check too. But she found the lump herself, and there's no better defense than being on the offense, and especially with breast cancer and even testicular cancer. But so she found the lump. Obviously, she made an appointment and got in. It didn't seem at the time that the doctors were too worried about it.
Well, they didn't find... They could feel the lump and I think see it because it grew fast. But I don't remember her saying that they found it on a mammogram, because I think they did a mammogram.
Right. Yeah,
and
I don't remember I don't remember her talking about it being on showing up on a mammogram.
It was like an ultrasound, I think, is how they saw the lump after she went in. I
think that's right.
Because she was always that exception to the rule.
Yeah, she had what...
Murphy's Law.
Yeah, but she had... How do they word it? Dense or fibrous tissue?
I don't remember that.
I don't know. Anyway.
But...
So, they verified that there was a lump there, and by the time the initial diagnosis was made that yes, there's a lump there, yes, we want to get rid of it, by the time in just that short amount of time of, what was it, about a week or 2 weeks?
I think about a week. I don't think it was any longer than 2.
It more than doubled and tripled in size. Think about that for just a second. That is how aggressive breast cancer can be. And I'm not just singling out breast cancer, because all forms of cancer can
be aggressive,
can
like
be
that.
Really aggressive like that. But so by the time the doctors went in to remove the lump, it had far exceeded anything that they were anticipating, and right then and there they had to make that split-second decision. And they went ahead and did a radical mastectomy, removed both breasts.
No, just the one. She had her second one removed when she had her reconstructive surgery. Then they did both of them. Reconstructed the one she had lost. So yeah, they just did a mastectomy for the one, because your dad said that there were multiple lumps when they went in.
Yeah.
Not just the one. There were quite a few.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but when they removed the first one, they removed all the lymph nodes on that side as well.
I think so.
And then when they went back in for the reconstructive, they
just took that good breast and then reconstructed both.
I thought they so they didn't take lymph nodes on the... Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, but her lymph nodes from when they did the mastectomy, I think, wasn't it like 60% of them were infected with cancer?
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah. So, at this point, it was like all hands on deck. We really didn't know what to expect. And nobody in that situation, I think, knows or has any idea. I mean, unless you're a doctor and you've studied cases like that you kind of have an idea.
Well, it was so long ago and so much has happened.
Yeah, and I remember them. They threw so much at her. You know, they were talking about different types of treatment that were very, very cutting edge and just in the testing and trial phases.
Yeah, she was in the trial phase for the tamoxifen, which is still popular today for breast cancer patients, but she didn't do so well on that.
No, I don't think she liked that at all.
No, she ended up, I think, quit taking it because she had so many other side effects that were just as awful. So, but yeah, she was in the trial phase for tamoxifen.
Yeah, so... And she willingly signed up for that one. I mean, and I think anybody in that situation would do that only to try and help advance the medical industry. I think at some point in the back of your head, in the back of your mind, you at some point accept the fact that this is going to take your life. So I want to make the most of what I've got left, and if the most that I have left is to give it to science and say, let's try it, because it may, who knows how many people have been helped based off of just those really, really early trials with using tamoxifen and other things that she went through. And I'm not saying that she herself is the only one that did that, but she was part of those groups.
Yeah.
But speaking of side effects, obviously they did the chemo, they did the radiation, and God love her. I mean, she never missed a day of work. I mean,
she sat at her desk getting sick from chemo.
Yes. Trust me, when I was a kid, when I was younger, in my younger days, there was no way that I would be able to get away with trying to not go to school because I was sick. Are you kidding me? My mom's got cancer and she's going to work. She's puking at her desk. She even went to work the same day that she would go for chemo and radiation.
Yeah, she'd be burnt red from radiation and
she
would still go to work.
That was so hard to look at.
It was bad.
It really was.
I thought my sunburn was bad. That's probably worse.
Oh, way worse. Yeah, I mean we're talking levels of chemo and radiation that the average person, I don't think, would have been able to go through. That's how
aggressive.
That's how aggressive her cancer was. But
do you remember when she was we were getting ready for school one morning and we heard her in the shower?
Yes.
Getting
oh my God, get the hair off of me.
Well,
yes.
It was sticking to her, and then we came home. As I was leaving to go to school that morning, she was trying to put what strands of hair she had in a little bun.
It didn't work.
And then she came home from work and her head was shaved. She decided, I guess she got mad, so she just shaved her head.
Yes.
I mean, she didn't have much hair left, but she was trying.
At that time, no. And I remember because I had told her that when she started to lose all of her hair, I'd cut all of mine off too. Of course, it wasn't long after that I went into the Army anyway.
And you got it all cut off.
I had it all got cut off anyway. But so one of the nasty side effects from the amount of radiation and chemotherapy was all of the internal damage that her organs sustained. I mean, we're over the 9 years.
Well, and I think some of that was when they diagnosed her with the bone cancer.
Which was about, 3 or 4 years after the initial...
I think so.
Because I don't think she ever made it to remission before.
The 5-year
because
mark.
she had complained about
pain.
About pain in her legs and other areas. And nobody knows their body better than themselves. You try and tell a doctor, look, this isn't right. And when the doctor kind of dismisses it and says, look, we can't find anything, we can't figure it out. I think it's basically all in your head.
Well, I think they forget that when she got diagnosed with the bone cancer, it wasn't from a bone scan, which is what you would get diagnosed from.
Right.
It was from a CAT scan. So again, it was not the
right.
normal.
There was she was the absolute exception to every rule.
So I think they kept doing her bone, because she kept going in for bone scans and blood work like every 3 months or so. And nothing would ever show up, even in her blood work, until things were really bad. And I think it was her blood work that set them off, because there was some stuff in her blood work that signaled.
That seemed a little off.
So then they did every test under the sun and found.
But at that point, it had progressed so bad that she wound up, basically, one of the femurs in her leg was paper thin, and they had to go in and put in a titanium rod just to give some strength to the structure.
Yeah.
On top of that, by the time that they got a comfortable level of control, per se, of the bone cancer, they realized in all of the testing that she had spots on her livers, she had spots on her brain.
That was towards the end.
That was towards the end.
She didn't have very many intestines
left. Right.
It was just...
And that was one of the really, really bad side effects, was the fact that, she knew something wasn't right. And she kept telling them something is not right. I'm throwing up stuff that should only be coming out the other end. And the doctors basically looked at her and laughed at her and said, no, that's impossible. And she said, okay, well, I'll save some for you. She took it in, and they were like, okay, this isn't right. We've got to do something. And come to find out, her intestines were all pretty much just one big thing of scar tissue.
Yeah, so nothing was passing through.
So they had to remove a large chunk of her intestines. So she had the little ileostomy bag. They didn't get enough, so then they had to move it to a different location because they had to cut out even more. And I remember one of the funniest things with the ileostomy bag was when she would eat corn. I kid you not. Within 5 minutes of her eating something, it's being expended. It's being expelled through her little, what do they call it, stoma?
I think so. I don't know.
I don't
remember.
Anyway, so she's got the little Ziploc bags. She would laugh at that. She would and I think I even think she referred to it as her Ziploc bag every now and then.
She probably did.
But so they had this. She had her little ileostomy bag hanging off of her, and she said, "Oh, come here, check this out, watch." And we were eating dinner, and she had corn on the cob. I will never forget the sound that corn makes being shot through your stoma into an ileostomy bag. I kid you not, it almost sounded like a machine gun. That's what it sounded like. It thumped on the dude. If you think I'm joking, here's what I want you to go into your kitchen when we're done here. But go into your kitchen and get a Ziploc bag and lightly thump it, and that's the sound that it makes. absolutely hilarious. And she laughed and thought it was funny. And by rights, that really is funny.
She had a great attitude about everything. Despite
she did.
Everything that went wrong and could go wrong, she was positive.
Yeah,
all the way to the end.
All the way up until the end. And that's when things really got bad. I mean, even for me, walking into a room and walking into the same room that she was in and having her look at me and with kind of a puzzled look on her face like, I know who you are, but
I don't.
I don't.
That was hard to take in. Because I think she did that to your dad too, so I can't imagine.
I mean, and so that's the other thing that I want to talk about. I'm going to get...
Okay.
Yeah. Really choked up about my dad. My dad is one of the strongest people I know. The 3 strongest people that I have ever met. Number 1, my mom. Number 2, my wife. And number 3 would be my dad. You grab a dictionary and you look up the definition of love. Selfless love. And for a guy who's not a really faithful person, exhibited some of the most selfless acts of love that I probably will ever witness. There was a point when things got really bad, and he quit his job that he had worked at for a long time. Had an incredible future ahead of him where he was working. And he gave it all up. Just walked in and said, I'm done. I gotta go be with my wife. Again, my dad is one of the strongest people I know. And to see him by her side all of those years, and to know that down to her last breath, she took it in his arms, as he professed his love to her. I can't think of a better definition of what love is and the example of love than that. It's really incredible. So with all of that said, we'll try and wrap this up because I'm going to need some time. I thought I was doing good up until now.
You're doing great.
This is really an emotional time for me and my wife and my dad and even our son. He has some difficult times with it, but over the last few years things kind of have gotten a little easier.
think you just accept it more than it gets easier.
And maybe that's the best way to put it, is you come to a better acceptance of the way things are.
The loss and the void that you have with her not being here.
Yeah. But, so, let's kind of, let's change direction on this and say, look, cancer affects more than just the person being diagnosed. It affects everyone around them. It affects their spouse, their children, their extended families, friends. And speaking of friends, that was the hardest thing I had to do. Was not to call any of. It wasn't to call any of my mom's side of the family and tell them the hardest thing was to call her best friend. Anyway, do a U-turn here. Let's go the opposite direction. So, again, I over the last few years, I've done nothing but plead with you about making sure you check yourself, make sure you remind your loved ones to check themselves. Men, check your giblets. If you have to make it a family thing where a husband and wife
and it's like you said family thing, and I'm like,
oh. No, let me finish. If you have to make it a couple's thing where the husband is checking the wife and the wife is checking the husband, or husband, wife, whatever your circumstances are. Because cancer doesn't care what color you are, it doesn't care how old you are, and it definitely doesn't care what your gender is. It doesn't matter. Because men and women both get breast cancer. I don't have the statistics. I've covered those before on other radio shows and stuff like that, but over the last couple of years. But
well, and it's changed so much in the last year.
And they have. They really have. But I plead with you. Men, check yourselves. Women, check yourselves as well.
Always go to your appointments.
Always make your appointments. Do not be scared to make an appointment. Do not be scared. That's what the doctors are there for. They want to help you. They want to make sure that you're healthy. To be completely honest, if you go and ask if you went to a doctor and said, I don't know how to properly check myself, they will help you. They will teach you step by step on what the things are to look for, how things will feel.
My doctor, when my lump was found, she found it and she had me feel so that I could feel what it felt like. And I would have never...
No, I would have never guessed that that's what it felt like either.
Because I had him check too. And then when my general surgeon did a more thorough breast exam after everything, and I do the same exam that she does, which is checking under your armpits and
that,
by your collarbone.
All the way up in here. I mean, men, if you've got a lot of muscle, get deep into that tissue. Get all up in there and grind up in it. You got to feel. I mean,
and up by your collarbone too.
You got to check all the way up in here. Do it in the shower. I mean, you got to check the nipples. You got to.
And you have to kind of press.
You really do. You've got. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but the last thing you want to do is toss the fun bags around. They're not punching bags.
No.
But you kind of have to get a little rough with them when you're checking.
Oh, no. Rough is the word, but yes, you have to be a little aggressive.
Aggressive. So, with all of that said, please check yourselves.
And get your mammograms. 3D mammograms, they're better than the regular mammograms.
Way better.
That's what I get. That's what my doctor wants me to get, not
a lot of doctors are recommending the 3D and not just your typical smash and press.
Well, they still smash and press, but it's better images.
Right, but not the traditional smash and press. They want the 3D smash and press.
Yes. Because that's
patty
how,
cake.
That's how one of our friends at church found her. She goes in for her mammograms every year, but she went in for a 3D because her doctor told her to, and they found something that they probably would have not found on a regular mammogram.
And it turned out that they had to go in and remove that lump.
Yep. She's, as far as I know, doing okay, but it's been a battle because it was not too long after I found mine. So.
Yeah. And that's the thing. If you do ever encounter having to go through a lump removal or a scare, always make sure you have somebody that you're comfortable enough to talk to and dump on them. That's what they're there for. A true friend is not going to leave your side.
And he was great during our lump scare. I think I dumped a lot on you.
It happens.
So I hope you dumped a lot back on me too.
You don't want me to dump on you.
Well, okay, but your thoughts and feelings too.
Yes. I didn't say that. You did. Giggity. Okay, so all of that being said, that's our personal side to breast cancer awareness. I realize it's just 1 month out of the year. I realize that. It's just 1 month. But if it's the only month that you ever give thought into doing a self-breast exam or the checking the giblets, guys, if that's the only reminder that you get and you actually follow through, then thank you. But please,
set a time.
Set a time.
I do mine. I have a certain time that I always do mine, and that's just a reminder every month.
Every month around the same time. If you have to, schedule it on your little smart device. Let your thumbs go to work. Schedule it on your appointment, on your calendar, and do it. Remind your spouse. Remind your loved ones. You want them around. You need them around.
Yes.
Yes.
I do.
We love each other. We love you guys. Thanks. I realized that, I'm checking the time on that, and we were almost 30 minutes just sitting here chit-chatting about this. Yeah.
It didn't seem like that, but
no.
Time flies by when you're having fun.
So there was a couple of minutes in there that wasn't all that fun.
That's true. It was very emotional.
Yeah.
My allergies were acting up.
Yeah. Allergies. We call them allergies. Anyway. Friends, family, we love you guys. Please take a moment. If you've watched this video and the only thing you take away is to make sure that you check yourself, then we've done our part. Please feel free to share this video with your friends and family. Share it on social media. Use the hashtag breast cancer awareness. Get the message out that you need to check yourselves. Again, the best defense. The best scatterbrained right now. The best defense is a strong offense, and that's it. I don't have anything else to say. I have said my piece, and afterwards I'm going to go cry.
Oh. We can eat some ice cream.
No, we can't. We're on a diet. Anyway.
Dairy's on the diet?
No, it's not. That's a whole different thing. We got to say bye.
Bye, everybody.
We love you guys. We'll see you next time. Thanks and God bless.